means I've grown absolutely nothing. I'm still stuck in the same role 28 years later. No, what it means is I'm very blessed to have been part of something that has that type of longevity, that people enjoy and still actually take the time out of their day to go see and watch these kind of films. And some people watch it multiple times. And I've had guys and women from the military say it keeps them sane when they're out of country and they're at some camp in some area of some part of the world, and they get back to their base and they want to get back to what America's about, kind of thing. And so I've been very fortunate enough to have this kind of so-called like cult iconic status of being this character. Well, first of all, it was odd just because we were, everything was COVID protocols. So we were tested every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with the swab up your nose. We didn't shoot on the weekends, and we did it for 5 weeks, which the Monday test was always nervous because we'd go out, go home, and have dinner out and stuff like that. Try not to mingle with too many people. So we dodged that bullet. But what was really weird was, when we did Clerks 2, we did 4 weeks in LA at that movies and other locations, and then like 4 days in New Jersey to get all the specific quick stop New Jersey landmark kind of exterior shots. And then again, even with the Jay and Silent Bob reboot movie, they replicated the front of the quick stop and the video store down in New Orleans, which blew me and Kevin for 20 minutes just sat in front of there and just going, how did it just looks so weird, and how they did it so well and stuff like that. So going back to it this time last year at the actual store, the same family still owns the quick stop. It was a time capsule. That place is just a time capsule. And it was fun being able to say completely new dialogue in that setting. A new storyline, a growth of an arc of these characters in the world we live in today. It was a lot of fun. Listen, before Kevin, there was other people inspiring Kevin. Jim Jarmusch and people like George Lucas, for that matter, and others. Like, these are the guys that took their idea that they believed and pushed it and said, look, I'm going to do this space opera out in space, and we're going to have this kind of thing that looks like a giant bear dog thing. And people looked at him odd, but it got made, and he believed in it and pushed it. They so didn't believe in it that they gave him the marketing and merchandising rights, which he made more in that than he did in the movie itself. So it's those type of things that inspire. Everything is derivative. And so when people say that they're inspired by this film and what Kevin did and stuff like that, we're incredibly thankful that they can do it. And it is that kind of like, listen, if us bunch of saps in Jersey could pull it off by kind of conning the boss of the job I work at to let me use the store to make a movie at, and as long as it's not porn, it was all good. You never know what people can do. There's millions of stories out there that still haven't been told, and independent filmmaking is the way to go. I mean, the phones today, literally this phone in my hand, I could do 24p, 4K kind of stuff. Like, this is so much better material, mechanically than the film camera and the sound that we had on our own film. So the technology has gotten into the hands of everyday people to tell their stories. And so I always enjoy going to film festivals and seeing what's made and what's done. And I always ask, well, what'd you use to make it, kind of thing? Because there are a lot of people who buy like the Black Magic small little, 3/4 or whatever. And it's awesome stuff. And the eye can only see so many pixels anyway, so it's not like, oh, you only shot it in 2K. It's like, come on, man, I'm watching some videos on YouTube at 720p. So it's that type of thing where I enjoy the fact that we are yet just one cobblestone in the road that is, independent filmmaking. So Jason Mewes, his first shot at directing a film was a movie called Madness in the Method, which is such a great multiverse kind of view of Kevin and Jay and Jay's world of being pigeonholed as an actor, just being the stoner dude, the stoner best friend, or the stoner this, and wanting to get out of it, and Kevin giving him the advice to find this book about doing method, and it's an acting technique that's known out there in the world, and how he takes that idea and it just goes to an nth degree. And in that movie, me, Brian O'Halloran, is directing and producing this kind of mega, movie called The Odyssey kind of thing, and he wants to be a part of that film, and so I got to play this kind of like archetype of Hollywood kind of producer, self-absorbed douche nozzle that I think I've met quite a few in my years, and so just drawing little tidbits here and there from them, and yet still being me, so people know it's Brian O'Halloran, was a lot of fun. And he shot that on 2 continents. He shot scenes in LA and he shot scenes in England, posing as LA, and because his producers were based in England, film it there cheaper. And so I shot all of my stuff out in England, which was great, because not only I got to do stuff in England, but I also got to visit family that I have out in England and Ireland and stuff. So it was nice to see Jay. I mean, I've known Jay since he was 17, going through all the trials and tribulations that he's had over the years. And here he is helming this movie with people like Stan Lee and Danny Trejo and Jaime, I forget his last name, as one of the guys who gives him the book, and a whole bunch of others that are really, really great actors and really cool people to work with. And it comes off really great. I think it's a really fun movie that I think people enjoy. It's kind of like the tongue-in-cheek Hollywood story about Jay Muse.
Yeah.
Sundance then is not like what Sundance is today. Yes, it still was one of the most top 4 film festivals in the world at the time. But for me, it's a 10-day festival, and they were renting. When I say they, like Kevin and Dave and Scott, were all renting a condo in Park City while they were shopping the movie around and talking to different distributors. John Pearson, they had met John Pearson in New York, and he was a producer's rep, which means that's the person who takes you around as an agent to shop your film around to these different distributors. And so I couldn't afford to stay, because everybody had to pay rent if they wanted to stay at that same condo. I couldn't afford to fly out there and also pay for a whole 10 days of being at the festival. So I only went out there for the last 5 days. There was 4 screenings of Clerks, and I saw the last 2. And it was the very last one that Harvey Weinstein came and saw and finally made the deal to buy the movie. And it was weird because all this press, when I finally got there, and Marilyn Gigliotti had been there, who plays Veronica, had been there a couple of days before I had. Having all the press come and wanted to talk to me, it was kind of weird. It was like, CNN here, Entertainment Tonight wants to talk to you, and then, Kennedy from MTV News wanted to, it was weird, these people and things that were on TV at my cable TV, but I never in a million years thought I would be interviewed for them. So it was surreal. From someone who came from doing mostly theater to being interviewed by major news outlets globally was kind of weird. And I had shaven my facial hair off because I was doing a play that I needed to be clean shaven. So no one really recognized me throughout Park City. It wasn't when Marilyn was when we would walk together, they'd recognize her from the movie and well, this is the guy who plays Dante. Oh shit, I didn't realize it was him. That kind of thing. It was nice. It was nice to see people can I have your autograph kind of thing. It was kind of is this the beginning of something? And turns out it was, and thankfully I got along with Kevin and those guys that they wanted to work with me again for Mallrats and then Dogma and Chasing Amy and all these great films, Jay and Silent Bob, and then the cartoon series. I've been very fortunate that if this was the Marvel universe, I was the Tony Stark to linchpin all the other films that he wanted to do.